Okay, so I normally start off from the Glue Up homepage, which is what you're seeing on your screen right now. We will focus on two main areas: event settings and how to create an actual event on the platform. So the session normally goes for an hour, 30 minutes, because the events module is rather long. So yeah. So what we have here is the dashboard, and it's individual to you as a member of your team. Now, the dashboard contains information from different modules on the platform and can be modified to capture what is relevant to you. Now, remember, every user on your account will have different permissions. So someone that only works with events will not have, memberships related widgets that they would need to view on their dashboard. So when I scroll down to events, for example, you can see there are some events related widgets that you're able to select, and that information will populate your dashboard. Then save. The event settings are found by clicking on the gear icon, and we have them categorized here. Okay, so let's start off with event tags, event and session tags. So these allow you to filter different events that you've created on the platform. Okay, so let me show you an example, a practical example of how we use event tags internally. Okay, so let me show you the example first before we see how it's created. So as a training team, we schedule different sessions across different regions like EMEA, North America, APAC, and so on. So when you come to our event registration page, which is what you're seeing on your screen right now, you'll see training sessions from different parts of the world. So APAC is mostly China, Australia. EMEA is the session we have. So this is the session we have right now. And as you scroll down, you can see we have some North America sessions as well. So in order for you to find a session relevant to your region, you would come here to event tags and filter to only see events relevant to your region, and they will show up so you can see, and you can register to what you're interested to. So internally, we have categorized our events, or people can search based on region, but for you, you can create the event tag based on event type. Okay, so if you have conferences, training workshops, road shows, you can use those as event tags so that people can click on, road shows, and all the road shows show up. So this is how you can, so this is one use case of an event tag. So how do we create them on the system? On the settings, the only thing you need to do is to create the tag name and choose if the tag is public or private. So these are private. So what you've just seen here, these are public tags. Private tags are only for internal use as a team, and they will not show up here for the end user to use. So once you've created your tag, enter the tag name and create. And they're going to be listed here. When creating an event, that's when you choose which tag is relevant to that particular event. We also have session tags. So session tags help you to filter out different sessions and to have, breakout rooms for your sessions. Okay, so creating session tags works in a similar way, whereby you enter the tag name and a brief description of the tag. So in creating an event, you're going to see how these settings come into play. Second, we have system emails. System emails relevant to events are split into two main categories. We have them as registration emails and reminder emails. Now, the only thing you need to do on this part of the platform is to fill in the content of your email. We have already divided them up and labeled or put in the titles for the emails. So simply go in and edit. You can add your subject line and preview text, which are the first things a recipient will see when they receive the system email on their end. We can then proceed to content and design, which is whereby you fill in the body of the email. So what would you want to communicate to someone that has just submitted their registration request? Then publish. So these emails will be relevant to all the events you create on the platform, unless you want the wordings to be very different, but they will apply to all. So if one event is free of charge, then the payment-related emails will not be relevant to the individuals that have registered for that particular event, okay? If your event does not require approval, then this email will not apply to that particular event. So if you have 10 different events that you've created on the platform, these system emails will be relevant to all 10 events you've created. So remember, we have them as registration and reminder emails. The next setting is what we call blueprints. Now, the main function of an event blueprint is to help you save time and maintain consistency in how your events look on the platform. Okay, so this is an optional setting. So anything from here going downward is an optional setting you can have on the system. It is not mandatory. So for example, if within a calendar year, you have 5 different conferences, 2 roadshows, you have 5 different training workshops, you can create a blueprint that your colleagues can use over and over again when creating those events on the system, so they don't have to fill out everything from scratch. So what are some of the steps taken to create a blueprint on the system? So you will click on this tab and you will find that it has 9 different sections. Now, I will not go into the detail of all these sections because we're going to go through them when creating an event. So what you should know is when creating a blueprint, you will fill in the general settings like the blueprint name, a brief description of the blueprint and what you want it used for. So for example, this is a blueprint created for a conference. Okay, so information captured here are the event type. So we have different event types that you're able to select from here. The role your organization will play in a conference. This is where you can add an event tag. So you can select from the list of event tags you created on the system. You can put in a contact event registrants can reach out to if they have any question regarding your event. So you can add that information as well. Additional settings include the capacity of your event and other settings like if you want to approve each registration first, or even limit the number of tickets that an individual can buy, in addition to reminder emails and event waitlists. So general information has a lot going on that you're going to check in detail in a few. payments. So how do you want people to pay for their event tickets? So this is where you'll select payment methods and currencies to be used for those payments and other additional finance related settings when it comes to your invoices and receipts. You will work on a registration form. So you see, if you fill out all this information, when creating an event, you just pick up from a blueprint you've created and all this info will be populated. And that's why I said it's really good when it comes to saving time. You can create a registration form in a blueprint. You can activate an event room that allows event attendees to interact with each other before and a few days after the event ends. You can create different tickets in advance with the exemption of an early bird ticket. Remember, a blueprint is not a real event, so any time-related tickets, like an early bird ticket, you can't create it at this point because it's time sensitive. Okay, so you're going to see that in a few as well. You can add a physical venue to your blueprint. You cannot add an online link because most times online links are also time sensitive. When you create an event on Zoom, it has a start date, it has an end date, it has a time when the event will be held. So that cannot be included inside of a blueprint, but you can select a physical venue in advance. You can add different sponsors and partners, and you're free to delete or edit this information in future. You can capture the layout, and by layout, I mean the design, the different contents that you wish to be captured in your blueprint. And finally, you can create badge designs. So if this will be an in-person event, you can create different badge designs that can be used in that particular event. So once you finish, you save that information and keep it in storage. So you can see I have different ones here that you can always come back to edit or delete. The remaining 3 items are also optional, and you mostly do them in advance also to save time. So when it comes to design templates, GlueUp has 10 different templates that you can use. So let's see this May demo templates. So that the design template is simply how your event will look like. So if you want to change some items on a particular template and save it for future use, you can select from our list of templates here, and each of them has a particular use case. One can be for one-day events, one can be to showcase, as a speaker. If you have a famous speaker gracing your event and you would want to showcase them, you can use this template, and so on. So select what you want and make a few changes. A few changes can include replacing the banner image here. So you can see this banner image is very generic. You can replace it with something more in line with your branding or very relevant to that event. When it comes to design, you can change the layout, the color scheme or theme of the template, and the font used here as well. So these are some of the few changes you're able to make at this point. And once you do that, you save. So when creating an event, you can simply fetch from a template you had selected and edited before. The same thing applies to physical venues. So if in the month of May, you have 5 different events that will be held in 5 different locations, you can simply add those locations on GlueUp and save them in advance so that when you're creating that event, you can fetch from the different venues you initially added under your event settings. So let me add one location here. So this is our office building, the city, the country, or any other relevant information. So you can see it's already showing me the location on the map. I will confirm the PIN and then save it as a venue. So as simple as that, just add your venue and save it, and you're able to utilize it for any, not utilize, add it to any event, in-person event that you have. You can always edit or delete any venues you initially added on the system. Lastly, we encounter badge designs again. So if you have in-person events, you can create different badge design templates that you would want to use for your events. Okay, sample, select the size, and then create. So badges capture very basic information, like what you're seeing here. It can have attendee information like my name, Valerie Odera, my email, or any other info like you're seeing here. It can contain event-related info. The event organizer's logo can also be added here. So what you do is just drag and drop the event organizer and whatnot. Even the event name can be added here. Custom information can be additional, info you would want to add on the badge, or any image you would want to add on the badge. That's pretty much it. There's not so much you can do when it comes to design. We've kept it very simple to only include basic information, as you can see listed here, and then save. So you're mostly creating these things in advance in order to use them when creating an event. So that's why I said from the blueprint going down, these are items you create and keep in stock so that you're able to utilize them for future events. So let us go in and see the different steps you would have to follow when creating an event on GlueUp. So what you're seeing on my events page is a summary of different data, like the number of draft events I've created. And for draft events, you're able to delete any of your draft events or duplicate it if you wish to create a similar event. We have current and upcoming events that can be viewed in a listed view like this, or in a calendar view if you would want to see all the different events being held in the month of May, or any other month that you're going to scroll through. Any information searched or filtered can be exported in a CSV Excel format. For past events, you cannot delete past events on the platform. The most you can do is to archive an event, and it's going to be removed from your past events list. If you want to return it here, the only thing you have to do is go to the gear icon and archives, and you're going to find it there, reverse, and it's going to be listed here as well. So if you don't want to view any items here, you only need to archive them. So how do we create an event on the platform? When you click on this green tab, there's two main types of events you're able to create, either an offline event or an online event. Now, I'm going to show you the one way you can create a hybrid event on the platform, because that's also an option we've made possible. Let us use this. Let's say we're creating an online event. The first thing the system will ask you is if you would want to utilize or use any blueprints you initially created. Now, remember, our blueprint is already filled out with, all the information we need. So if I select any of these, the only thing I will need to do is to publish the event because everything is complete. But I want to skip this because I want to fill out everything from scratch. Okay, so let me put in my event title and call it a training workshop. Let's call it May Training Workshop. The language, when the event starts. So let's say this is a 3-day event running from the 8th of May, and you can have a start time here and ending on the 10th of May. So it's a 3-day event, and every day it's going to start at either 10 a.m. and end at 5 p.m. So when I put it like this, it doesn't mean it's going to be a 3-day continuous event, okay? So this will just guide you on, how long it takes. But when we fill out the agenda of the training, you'll be able to add different timings for each day. And I'll show you how that works. The time zone and the event type. So this is a very important section when creating your online events. So if you would want to host this online event within GlueUp, you can use the GlueUp webinar option. So when you click on this tab, it means that this event will be held within GlueUp completely. Now, a speed networking session, on the other hand, is also held within GlueUp, and it's mostly involves, one-on-one interaction between your event attendees and so on. So it's a special type of online event. If you would want to use an external link, you can use the custom link option and paste your link here. By external link, it can be a Zoom link, it can be a Google Meet link, it can be a Microsoft Teams link. So if that is where you want to hold that online session, you can add that link here. For our clients that have taken up the Zoom webinar add-on, this means that you have integrated your GlueUp account with your current Zoom webinar account. And what happens is when you click on this tab, the event is also automatically created on Zoom. Okay. And you don't need to do double work. When you use this, you're doing double work because you're creating it on Zoom, and then you're going to paste the link here. Okay, but this is free. You don't need an add-on for that. Okay, so let's use this option. Additional setups can include capturing, different different members of your team, that have a role in this event. So I'll select myself and another member of our team. We also encounter the event room here, so we can switch it off because we don't need it. So once you click on that button, it simply means you are just starting off with your setup. What you're seeing in front of you is a dashboard that will gradually give you information like event attendees, the number of tickets bought and whatnot. So this dashboard will be populated, will begin to populate data when your event is live or when people begin to register to your event. So we're not paying attention to this so much at the moment. Focus on this area right here. So you will see there's different steps that you would have to go through on your setup, from step 1 all the way to step 5. So on the setup stage, general information can include info we have already entered, like the title, the start date, the online link, and so on. But there's additional information you can add. You can add an event subtitle, a description for search engines, or keywords for search engines that will allow people to find your event better, or to better find your events online. So we can put more specific keywords here, but this is optional. Okay, the role your organization is playing in this particular event. So we can say we're the lead organizer. Okay, we already have our custom link, and you can see when you click on the Zoom webinar option, we cannot see the link, because as people begin to register for the event, they will each receive a unique link for each individual. Okay, so each link will be unique to everyone that registers to the session. Primary language for your event is English, the default. But if you would want to make it possible for people to read your event page using any of the other additional languages, you can select that as well. We come across our event tag. So since I have a training workshop and I created an event tag that allows people to filter all training workshops, that's what I will select. A host committee is a group of people that have a particular role in this event, and you would want to highlight them on the event page. It can be, board members. It can be, people that provided a particular service and whatnot. So this is where you find them. You can select from there. A public contact for your event, and the ability for people to be able to directly share this event to different social media pages. So you can see all this information, we went through it on the blueprint. So if you selected a blueprint, you would not need to enter everything here from scratch. We have our event team. Remember, I initially selected 2 people, but you can add additional people from here as well. The registration settings are very important because you can regulate the capacity of your event. You can say you only want a maximum of 100 people. Account creation. So some types of events will need to be held within the Glue Up platform. Something like when you're using the Glue Up webinar option, or you're using the speed networking option, you would need to say that it's mandatory for your event registrants to create a Glue Up account. If not, remember we are using the Zoom webinar option. If not, you can remove that option entirely so that they don't create any Glue Up accounts. I like to call these items my rules for the event, my group of rules for the event. If this is a special type of event whereby you want to approve each registration first before they buy a ticket, then you can click on this button. Let's say it's an event whereby you only need engineers, for example. You may need to approve each registration to see if everyone that attended is attending as an engineer, and then you can proceed to the next step. You can use this to include an e-ticket after each registration is complete. You can tick on this if you would want everyone to register or to fill out a registration form. This section allows you to limit every registrant to only buy 1 ticket, but leaving it blank gives you an option to also do the same when creating a ticket. So when creating a ticket, you can put a particular minimum or maximum number of tickets that someone can buy. You can set a specific start date and end date for registration. Remember, our event is starting on the 8th of May. So if you would want registrations to start on Friday of this week, on the 5th, you can select that option. And you can even select when you would want registrations to end. Okay, so this is a setting that was not there when creating a blueprint because it's time specific. For whatever reason, you can temporarily disable registrations for your event as well, in addition to activating opt-in consent. So if you want people to agree to your terms and conditions, you can tick this and it will be visible at the point of registration. Attendee checkout, is enabled by default for online events. So it's going to enable you to see when everyone left the session. It's like this training session. At the end, Zoom will give me a report because we're holding it in Zoom. Zoom will give me a report of when everyone joined and when everyone left the session. So it works in a similar way. You can send out reminders and you're not limited to one. You can send out multiple reminders depending on how soon or how far your event is. Okay, it can be a few hours before the event or even a few days before the event, and then schedule. So when you schedule it, it means it's going to go out on the date you selected. So you can save that information. So you can see there's a lot of very key info that goes in on the registration options section. We have our registration form. And one thing you should note is you are free to create several forms, okay, depending on the type of event that you have. Creating a registration form is very straightforward. The only thing you should note is the email address is a mandatory field. The name and the email address are mandatory fields for each registration form. You can see I am unable to delete them. I cannot delete them. But for things like telephone number, I can delete. Title, the company they work for, I can delete and replace it with any other info I would want to capture on my registration form. Now, you can create these fields using the custom field section. It can be a comment box, a short text box, a single choice, a drop down where you want them to select from a particular item. We have even made it possible for you to create a field for them to upload a particular document, for example. So if you want them to, let's say, a certificate or any soft copy document you may need, depending on the type of event you have, you can use the file upload option for them to upload the file, and you can make it mandatory, meaning it will not be, the registration will not be complete if that particular item is not added. You can add a title to your event, a body of text, maybe, with additional information on how you want them to fill it out and whatnot. You can use a divider or the title field to separate different sections of your registration form. So once you do that, you can save and you're good to go. Payment options is how will people pay for this particular event. If this event is free of charge, simply say that no payment method will apply. Again, this is also not included on a blueprint, okay? Free events are not included on a blueprint. But here you can select your payment methods. It can be an online payment, bank payment, and whatnot. Okay, so a question has come in on if you create different registration forms, how will it apply to the different people that register? So you're going to see that when we work on discount tickets and discounts. So you're going to see how that comes in. So we have our payment methods, the different currencies you would want to use. If you have any refunds, refund policy, you can enter it here. And lastly, we have finance-related settings relevant to your event. So these ones can include if you want invoices or receipts automatically generated and shared with event registrants. Okay, now these are done from the finance section of the platform, and you can include an additional tax and save. So let me save that. So you can see step one is dense. It's dense. So tickets and discounts. There's different types of tickets you're able to create on the platform. So let's say this is a regular ticket. We can give it a name, give it a description. Ticking this box means that this ticket will be visible on the event page. You can then add the price. So we can say it's just a standard price, the currency, and the amount to be paid for a regular ticket. In fact, let's call it a non-member ticket. Non-member ticket, and then add. So that's our non-member ticket. We can go in and create an early bird ticket. Okay, just maintain standard currency, and then we can make it slightly cheaper. And there's an early bird section here that you need to tick and select when this ticket expires. So remember, our event is running from the 8th to the 10th. So we can say the early bird ticket will expire a day before the event at a particular time. The reason why I mentioned that early bird tickets are not on the blueprint is because of this. It's time sensitive. Another type of ticket you can create is the member ticket. Member ticket. All the items the same. Go in, put in your price. We can say the member ticket is this much, and there's an item here you need to select. So if you want to restrict these tickets to members, you can say it's going to apply to all your members, or it can apply to members within a particular membership type. So if you have premium members, student members, associates, you can create a different ticket for each of these people using this option here, or you can restrict it to all your members. It means that as Valerie, if I come to your website and see that this is the cheapest ticket you have and I attempt to buy it, the system will simply tell me, you are not a member, please go and purchase a different ticket. So I will add that as well. The group ticket is also another option you may have. So for group tickets, you can select the number of people accommodated. So you can say it's going to accommodate 4 people. Let's call it a group or a table, depending on the type of event that you have. The price. So for group ticket, we can say, this is it. You can restrict it to member only also. But one thing I would advise you to do pay attention to this. When you're creating a group ticket, you can see here that a group ticket will accommodate 4 people. So always make sure that you put in a limit. So you can say someone can buy a minimum of 1 and a maximum of 1, so that it only accommodates 4 people. If you leave this option open and say 2, it means someone can buy 2 tickets, but it depends. They can buy 2 tickets, meaning it's going to be for 8 people. And this is one challenge I've seen some organizations have, whereby they create a group ticket and forget to put in a limit here. So their customers end up getting confused. So you can always go back, delete or edit that. And to answer the question that was initially asked is, where do the multiple registration forms come in? So when creating a ticket, you enter the name. You can link it to a particular registration form. So there was that option here. So let me see if I have activated that, but there's normally an option there where you can say people buying this ticket will have to fill out a particular registration form, and the drop down appears. We have a discount code. We have our discount code. It can be a percentage discount. So we can say we're giving 10% discount. So this was the currency we were using for all our tickets. You can limit, for how long this discount code will be viable. You can limit the number of times this discount can be used and the tickets that will benefit from this discount code. So if you only want it to benefit the member ticket, that's the only group that will be able to utilize this code when buying their ticket. So if you share this code to your members and I get hold of it as an insider, I can try to use it, but it will not work. So that's what happens there. You can activate a wait list if you would want to give room to an additional number of people to attend your event. Remember, our event capacity was 100 people. So we can say that once the capacity has been reached, we have given room for an extra 50 people to attend this event. But these people will fall under the wait list, and we will need to approve them, before they receive their ticket and then save. So the setup stage is very, very important, as you have seen. So let's go over and go to the second step, which is publishing our event. The first thing you will need to do at this point is to populate the content of your event. So you can put in a summary of the event, but you can make it as detailed as possible. I've just put in a sentence to save time. This will appear on your event page. We have our speakers. Now, your speakers can be fetched from your contact list or manually added. So if you don't have this individual on your contact list, you can manually add them from here. So let me fetch someone from my contacts, a colleague of mine. So you'll see that all her info has already been populated. And you can also register them as an attendee as well, aside from being a speaker. You can always remove the picture, replace it with a different one, and edit any information you initially had. So let me select another one here. And if someone shows up and they have a speaker tag next to their name, it means they have initially participated as a speaker in a past event that you've held on the platform. So the system normally captures that. If you want to, work on how they are arranged on the event page, you can simply move them around. And this is how they will appear on your event page. The agenda of your event is very important because it gives you the opportunity to break down your event into bite-sized pieces, okay? So for day one, we can go in and add our sessions. We can have a session for introductions, for example, and we can say the introductions will run from this time to this time. So they will take 30 minutes. You can add additional details like the content that will be covered here and whatnot, and the speaker that will be in charge of this particular session and any session tags. So this is where our session tags come in and save. We can have a break in between, a tea break, for example, and say it's going to last an hour, or any timings are provided here. So you can see I'm slowly building out the sessions for a particular day. The first training session can go from a particular time to a particular time, as you can see here. We have a speaker responsible for that, and select any relevant session tags, but those are optional. So if your event on day one is running from 9 a.m. all the way to 5 p.m., you can list out all the activities that will take place in between. If your event has different activities going on at the same time, maybe it's a fun day. A fun day may have an adult section and a kids section. So we can use this track to separate those sections. So I think this was a training. We can say these are Daphne's classes, then save. So if we have 2 people conducting classes and all of them are running at the exact same times from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., we can have Daphne's classes and Marion's classes. And Marion's classes. And we can begin to build Marion's activities also all the way to even if her sessions end earlier. That's the beauty of the agenda session. You can, the agenda tool, you can use it for that. So feel free to add your sessions for day one, your sessions for day two. So if on day two, your event is starting much later in the day, it will give you the freedom to highlight all those activities. And lastly, for day three, so people can really have a feel of what will go on in all those, in all the different days. So we can add our sponsors and partners. If your organization is the lead organizer for this event, you will automatically be captured here. So you will automatically be captured here. If you have another organization that is co-organizing this event with you, you can add them there as well. Okay, so this is our co-organizer. You can add them there as well and edit their details. One popular category is sponsors. Now, sponsors can be fetched from your contacts if you already have them in your contacts. So you can see I'm choosing this company going by the name of Samsung because I've used them in a previous event. So their logo would ideally show up, or you can add their logo, the website to their link, and a brief description. So one thing you can do here is to track the amount of money that Samsung is bringing in the form of sponsorship. This information will be for your own internal use. It will not be visible on the event page. So let's say Samsung is bringing in 50K in sponsorship. You can add that information there, and it will be shown as a form or a type of revenue on your event's profit and loss section. And you're going to see what that looks like. If Samsung would want to sponsor you anonymously, meaning they don't want to appear on your event page, you can hide this particular sponsor and then create. So if you have 10 different sponsors, you will need to come here and add those sponsors one by one and add another category if it applies to your organization. It can be volunteers, it can be partners and whatnot. So you can create them and add the relevant organizations. We have exhibitors. If in your organization, you do a lot of exhibitions, we have made it possible for you to import your list of exhibitors on the platform by use of the template provided. So we have a template here that you're able to use to upload your exhibitors, or you can add them one by one if that is possible on your end. Now, before we publish this event, you have room to add any documents you would want your event attendees to access during, let me just upload this image as an example. It's an image. So let's assume this is a document that you would want your event attendees to have access to. The moment you upload a document and go to your agenda section, you can add that document to be accessed within a particular session. So let's say during the introductions, you want them to read this or access this document, you can see it has appeared here and you're able to select and save. So since this is a training session, you may have a document that is relevant to a particular training, so you can upload that document there and so on. So yeah, so that's one use case for the documents. Finally, let's make our event live. So you can select from any templates you had initially saved under your event settings. Remember, when we worked on the design templates, this is the one I just did as we started. So this was my May demo template. I selected this. I may have changed the banner image, the color scheme, the font, and all that. So I can choose this, or I can choose from any that has not been edited yet. So I'll click on select and continue. And this is what my event page will look like on different devices. I can go in, upload a different banner image. I can work on design. You can work on the color, font, or if you would want to display your event title or not, and the font. An additional section that was not there when we worked on the design template settings is the ability to customize your pages. Remember, our event details are visible. Our agenda is also visible on the event page, but you can hide it. Our speakers are visible. For the documents, you can make it not visible because you may need these documents to be accessed by people that have successfully registered to this event. So you can hide your documents from your event page. We have our sponsors, we have our tickets. Now, for a hybrid event, you can use this option here. You can create a new page and add any additional information that you have not captured so far. You can add any additional information we have not captured so far. So you have a title here and a body of text that you can utilize to create that additional section. Once you're satisfied with what your event looks like, you can either preview and then publish. Let me go ahead and publish, making my event live. And we can see what it looks like from an end user point of view. So this is our May workshop. The good thing is the banner image is relevant to a training workshop. Our event is starting in a few days' time. Our organization's logo is showing up here. We have our event summary, our speakers. Someone can access the full agenda here to view, the different sessions and all that and how it's broken down. We have our sponsors, organizers, and all that, and our tickets. So I can go in and buy the tickets that I want. So when I click on register, I can select the tickets that I would want to buy. So I will choose here that I want to buy one early bird ticket. So you can see the consequence of not limiting the number of tickets someone can buy. So since there was no limitation here, I'm free to buy as many tickets as I want. So a maximum of 20, as you can see. But for the group ticket, remember I put in a limitation. So I can only buy one group ticket that will accommodate 4 people. So you can see the difference between the two. So let me select an early bird ticket. As a non-member, the discount code will not apply to me, so I will not bother adding it at this point. We have our registration form. Someone with a GlueUp account, my details are automatically filled out for me. And this is the experience your members will have. Since you already have their data and they have active GlueUp logins, they will not need to fill this information from scratch. It's already been populated. Someone without a GlueUp account will need to add this information from scratch. So this is me. I can continue to the next step, which is payment related. So I can see my invoice here. I can go ahead and add billing information. And these are the payment methods that were selected when creating this event. Sorry for that. So I will, so if several options were provided, you'll be able to see the different payment methods provided, and I can select what is suitable for me. So I will click on pay, and the next thing will be to provide my credit card details and then complete the registration. If your event required approval, then the process would end at this point. So after filling out my attendee information, the process would end at this point. And once you approve, I will be able to finish with the remaining steps. So that is what the process looks like. Step 3 is promoting your event. And please feel free to send in any questions you may have on the chat. Now that our event is live, we can go ahead and send out invitations to different people, different groups of people. The invitation list section is used for you. It allows you to import a list of people that are not on your contacts lists or on your members list. So you don't have these individuals, sorry. You can either add them one by one or import a list of these people here. And what happens is when you create a campaign, so let's create a campaign quickly. So when we create a campaign, we can select that it's an invite that we're sending out. You can choose recipients of this campaign. So it's loading slowly. You can choose the recipients of this campaign from different parts of the platform, from your contacts module, from campaigns, your members, and all that. The people you imported on your invitation list are going to be found here, and you can select them at that point. So for myself, I wish to invite all my contacts. I can go over to settings, select a sender email. Under content and design, there's not much you need to do. There's not much you need to do because everything will be created for you. Okay, so you can see your organization's logo will show up, the training title, banner image, the date, and the venue. If it's a physical venue, it will also show up here as well. You can see the summary of the event, different speakers, different sponsors, and all that. You are free to utilize any of the elements provided and the design to switch it up. So dear Valerie, we are pleased to invite you to this event. Then save. You can preview to see what this event invite will look like for the end user. It's not very pretty, but you can see here the basics. And if I'm interested in attending, I will say I will attend or no. If I say I will attend, then it will kickstart the registration process and I can finish off everything in one go. So it makes it easy to streamline your processes so that, you know, things are not scattered. So you can see here, let me repeat. If I accept your invite and say, I will attend, it will lead me to this page whereby I'm able to select from the variety of tickets you have, register and complete the transaction in one go. If I say no, the invitation list has a breakdown of the people that have registered and the people that declined your invite. So you're able to see who said no to your invitation. Okay, so you can go ahead, send out the invite immediately or schedule for the invite to be sent out on a particular date or time. You can send this as a push notification on MyGlue if your members downloaded MyGlue on their phones. So this is really good for targeting people that don't frequent their emails. They will not miss out on any activities that are going on with your organization. The main difference between an event invitation and an event notification is the notice does not have the RSVP option that allows people to say yes or no to your invitation. Otherwise, everything else is the same. Okay, so let me take you to content and design for you to see that. You'll see the recipients, the settings, everything is the same. The only difference is here. You can see the yes or no option is not available. The only thing we have provided that you can also remove if you like is the registration link that someone can optionally click on to begin the registration. Okay, so that's how we send out campaigns on the platform. And after you send it out, the dashboard will give you a summary of the people that have managed to open the campaign and to click on any links you had within your campaign. Advertisement. So advertisement is a fancy word that is used to describe this. So this is a sample of an e-ticket. So this is what an e-ticket looks like. It contains the event name, the date, attendee information, the access type, and the status of the ticket. So it's mostly paid. Yeah. So we have given you room at the bottom of the e-ticket to advertise a particular item. It can be to advertise your own organization or any other item you would want to bring attention to. So every time people receive an e-ticket, they'll be able to see the advert at the bottom. You can design the advert separately and import it as an image and paste it here. Everyone that received an e-ticket will be able to see the advert at the bottom, as you can see there as well. Okay, we have also highlighted on this page how you can add the event registration widget on your website. Okay, so your IT person can copy this code. We have provided a code here that you can paste at the back end of your website in order for people to directly register from your website. And this is what it's going to look like. If you have any challenges doing that, please reach out to your customer success manager and they can give you better guidance on that. Step 4 and 5 are mainly used after the event has gone live and you've begun to receive registrations. So your attendee list will be populated by people that have successfully registered to your event. You're going to find them here, and there's different actions you'll be able to perform for those attendees. You can resend a receipt. You can edit some information there as well, or even change the ticket if it's something they have requested to be done. You can filter information on this page based on the different filter options provided. So there's a lot of info you can use to filter your attendee list and export that data in a CSV Excel format. If you had a wait list or an approval list, people that are pending approval, you can find your waitlist people here and approve them. It's normally a button found at the end here. And if you have an approval list, you will also find them here and approve each of their registrations. The badges section is whereby you're able to create a badge design or select from the badge designs you had initially created on your event settings. Now, as your event starts or before the event, you can generate PDFs of the badges for your attendees. I don't have a good example for now. I would show you practically how it's done. So let me refresh my page. Stuck there. So as I refresh my page, do we have any questions or concerns? We are almost winding up. Okay, so let me share my screen. So I'll go back to my event and can go to the fourth step, which is where we were. So you can see my dashboard is beginning to populate with data. You can see the amount of money a sponsor contributed has already been captured as a form of revenue. If I sent out my campaign to a certain number of people, I'll be able to see the number of people that have opened that campaign or not. So when it comes to badges, after selecting or creating a badge design, you can generate a PDF of those badges and print them before the event so that as they come, you can just hand over the badges, or you can print them on site. Always ask your customer success manager to provide you with a list of printers that can be used for this particular process. It's very important for you to know that. For an in-person event, we're almost winding up. For an in-person event, there's different ways you can check in people into your event, different tools, sorry. We have the standard check-in. So the standard check-in is mostly you positioned at the entrance with a computer or any device and searching for the attendee as they arrive based on the information we have here. So if they provide you with their name or their phone number or any information they provided on their registration form, you can use it to search for that individual and check them in. So there's normally a check-in button at the very end here. And if it's the end of the event, you can also check them out. For people that are walking in, because you can see here we have a walk-in, you can add that attendee manually. You can tell them we have different tickets, so which one would you want? If they're a member, you can add them, fill out their information, select how they paid for the ticket, and then add. So it's as simple as that. Once you add them in, you can automatically check them in and they can walk into the event. So that is how a standard check-in works. At the end of the event, you'll be able to see a percentage of the people that showed up from your original number and a percentage of people that walked in. We have the Glue Up Manager app that allows you to perform the same actions here, but from within the Glue Up Manager app. So you should download this app on your phone and use it to perform the same process. Our least used, let me admit, this is our least used tool. It's called the self check-in. And it's whereby you position a device at the entrance and attendees check themselves in, okay, based on different parameters you had put in initially. So it's our least used because of security concerns, whereby, you know, they can position a device somewhere and it ends up being stolen. But if this is something you can use, it's very easy. So basically, if these are the parameters you selected, the attendee will come to the device, enter any or all of this information, and the system will automatically check them into the event. Aside from that, you can add different check-in locations. So let's say if this was a concert and you had VIP, you know, regular tickets and so on, you might need to check these individuals from different parts of the venue, different gates at the venue, okay? So we can call this gate 1 and say that only people that bought the early bird ticket can be checked in using gate 1, for example. So you can put in different check-in locations and the number of people you expect to be checked in using those locations. Okay, you can add locations for different sessions and for different tracks as well. So I use the example of a play day where we had an adult section and a kids section. So you can add location for each of those tracks. Lastly, during an event, as an admin, you most probably will not be the one checking people into the event. You may utilize volunteers, you may utilize casual staff, and so you might need to give them temporary logins to Glue Up. So this is where you add your on-site registration staff. If Valerie is doing your check-in, so you can enter my email here and my name, and it will give me access to the check-in tools. So the check-in tools are what I will have access to. I will not have access to the admin side of the platform or any of your event setup. At the end of the event, you can disable my access to your account and delete my information from the platform. So that's how that section works. Finance. I normally cover this in detail during the finance modules on Fridays, but the main thing to take note of on this page is the ability to add revenue and expenses related to your event. Sponsorship amounts have automatically been captured here. Member tickets will also be automatically captured, and non-member tickets. So ticket sales will also automatically be captured. If you had other sources of revenue, like if you had other sources of revenue, like merchandise sales, you can add those manually here by entering the name of the item. So let's say you are selling merchandise like t-shirts, umbrellas, and whatnot. You can add the items, the amount, the currency, and the amount generated, and add. For expenses, you would have to manually add all of these. It can be foods and beverage, it can be venue, it can be transportation, or paying for different services. You can manually add those expenses on the system from here. All your ticket sales that have been paid for will be found here, and you can resend a receipt. All overdue or unpaid invoices will be found here, and you can resend an invoice or create a manual invoice that can be shared to these individuals. After your event ends, you can send out a survey. And so I normally, event survey. So I normally train this in detail during our campaigns training every Tuesday. But one thing I would want you to note when sending out an event survey is, aside from building out the different questions for your event, so you can see we have sample questions that you're able to use. Okay, how would you rate this event? And so on. How are the speakers? So these are different sample questions that you can use. You can add your recipients, and the recipients list is unique because you can target this survey to active members of your organization. You can target the survey to attendees. So if you only want to send this survey to people that successfully checked in, then you can have those individuals here. If you would want to collect feedback from people that did not check into the event, you can create a survey and send it out to this group as well. The category section allows you to send out a survey to either your attendees or to people that participated as exhibitors or speakers. You can target a specific groups, or you can target people that bought a particular ticket. So if you only want to collect feedback from your non-member ticket buyers, then you can target them like that. The distribution settings is mostly to enter the subject line of your survey, when you would want this survey to go out. Is it a day after the event is complete, or even 7 days after the event, or even immediately? So if you say immediately, it means after the event ends, this survey will be sent out to your recipients. You can select a reminder for people to fill out their survey, how long you want this survey to be open, and if you would want to receive anonymous feedback or not. And lastly, you can schedule your survey. So you can see it's a very simple process. So subject line, let me just put in something quickly, and then we can continue to the last step, which is sending out your survey. So my survey has 6 questions. It will be sent out immediately the event ends. It's going to be on for this period, and feedback is anonymous, and then send. Okay, so you can see there's a lot of information that goes in when creating an event on GlueUp. And finally is the CPD. If you have an event that involves the issuing of a certificate, it can be a certificate of participation, a certificate of achievement. Basic steps involved include creating your certificate. So you can select from the template here, or use a blank sheet to build your certificate from scratch. But take note that there's not so much you can do in terms of the design of your certificate, similar to how you are working on the badge designs. Okay, so similar to badge designs, you can see there is attendee information you can add on the certificate, like my name, my email, my company title, or anything you captured under the registration form. You have event information. and custom info that you would want to add and include on the certificate. So there's a lot of similarity to the content we saw under the badge design section. So once you save, we have CPD settings. So this is to instruct the system to capture when people checked in and checked out of the event. Remember, most of these certificates rely on how long someone stayed or attended a particular session. So lastly, validating points means you are approving that this individual stayed for a certain number of hours and is eligible for a certificate. So I will give you room in your free time to play around with this feature. You can put in some fake details here and see how the delivery of the certificate looks like and how you can filter that information on your end.